Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries, and we talk about Smackdown from January the 14th, 2022. Lita's big return to Smackdown and an otherwise miserable show. This show was not good. Not good. This is the second not good episode of Smackdown in a row. Usually Smackdown was a pretty good show. This is the second time where I was like, man, SmackDown needs to get it together. Need to correct themselves. They need to get it together. Let's start up with the Usos, who start the show talking about how they beat New Day, and now their management has to line up new teams for them. And it became a 4-way match in which the Usos did the introductions. And the funniest one, of course, was Los Lotharios, who said they said that they were coming to steal your heart, your car, and a victory. I was like, okay, kind of racist, but all right. I don't mind a little insensitivity. So the match was Los Lotharios versus Cesaro and Mansoor versus Jinder Mahal and Shanky versus the Viking Raiders. Cesaro and Mansoor stick out like a sore goddamn thumb. Despite the fact that Cesaro gets the crowd rocking all the time, which he does, he is tremendous. Mansoor, they tag teamed him with Mansoor, and I was just like, nah, bruh. Nope, not at all. That one ain't gonna work. That one's not gonna fly. Look, Cesaro can team with a lot of people. Mansoor is not gonna be the one. I'm sorry. I don't see how that one works out. I don't see how that's gonna shake out. But it is what it is. So the Viking Raiders win this match. They defeat Los Lotharios to win the match, which is very weird because didn't they just lose last week clean to Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin? So now they're the number one contenders after losing last week. And then why wasn't Corbin and Moss in this match? Shouldn't they have been in this match since they beat the Viking Raiders last week? That would require somebody having a memory long enough to remember that there was a match between these two teams last week. Apparently nobody remembers anything. They have selective memory. They remember certain shit, but there's other stuff that doesn't come to mind. This was stupid. Stupid. But the Viking Raiders, I could tell they were angling at being the team to wrestle the Usos because of how they changed their entrance and everything. Look, I don't have a problem with the Viking Raiders. I have a problem with the Viking Raiders losing last week and now being made the number one contenders. That's stupid. That's stupid. All right, Sonya Deville. They got a thing going on with her and Naomi still. Naomi once again confronted Sonya Deville and was reminded she couldn't touch her while she was wearing that jacket. And then Sonya Deville said that Naomi has main character vibes, but she's just an extra. And I was like, why are we talking weeb talk here? Why are we doing weeb shit on my wrestling show? Can we just say that Naomi thinks that she's more important than she really is? It was all very weird. Anyway, Sonya Deville told Naomi to get out of here, to beat it, or she's going to lose her Rumble spot or get fired, which made Naomi huff and leave. Of course, during this time, Sonya Deville is complaining about how it's cold in her office. It's super cold in there. Later, she's complaining that it's too hot in her office. And it was hot in there. So she took her jacket off later. And then Naomi approached her like, oh, your jacket's off, huh? And I was like, this is dumb. This is dumb. Why isn't it as soon as she took her jacket off, Naomi should have just ran in the scene and just started blasting on her? Like, that would have been so much more energetic. It would have made a lot more sense that soon as she took her jacket off, Naomi just came onto the scene and just like, boom, and just started cutting into her. And then, Adam Pearce could have pulled her off. In this segment, though, the moment she took her jacket off very slow and dramatically. She turned around and Naomi was there. And like, oh, so your jacket off, huh? So you're not the boss anymore. And so Adam Pearce kind of slid in there like, wait a minute. And Naomi wanted another opportunity because Sonya Deville screwed her over. And so Adam Pearce said, okay, you can wrestle Charlotte next week. It was non-title. And Naomi actually celebrated about getting to wrestle the champion in a non-title match. And I was like, man, they can't even create stakes. There's nothing on the line here other than Naomi wanting to prove herself. It's like she's been in the company for 7 fucking years. Why is she still trying to prove herself? She's already a former champion. This makes no sense. It's incredibly frustrating because this has so much potential, but they're watering this shit down. This shit is super watered down. They're not adding any spice to it. It's just they're just adding more water, just more and more water. I don't know where they're going with this. It's like, when is this match supposed to happen? Because WrestleMania is in another 3 months. So you're not telling me you're going to drag this out for another 3 months and not going to do an injury angle or nothing. Something needs to be done where this feud finally gets to a point where they can have contact with each other. Well, at least where Naomi can get over on Sonya Deville. And this would have been a perfect spot where maybe it was Naomi screwing around with the temperature, turning the temperature up in the office, and Sonya Deville took her jacket off just kind of to cool down a little bit. And then as she does it, Naomi just jumps her and beats the shit out of her for a couple of seconds before she gets snatched away. And now we have another reason why Sonya Deville doesn't like Naomi, and we can just build upon that for the next angle. But now we just know that Naomi's probably going to go out there and lose to Charlotte again. This time not have any excuse. And then we're going to have to start this shit all over again. This was stupid. This was dumb. I hate this. I hate it. I hate it with the heat of 1,000 suns. This is stupid. The next thing we got is the Zayn segment, which was Sami Zayn is now going to have a stunt show to try to show up Johnny Knoxville. Because when it comes to being a jackass, no one does it better than Sami Zayn. And he continues to talk about conspiracies against him. So as he's doing this, he has set up this stunt show where he's going to do this Evel Knievel style stunts where he's going to jump across the ring in a shopping cart and hit a bullseye on the other side of the ring. It was so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So he gets into the shopping cart and he's got 2 guys to help him go down the ramp. He's obviously not going to make it. And everybody knows he's not going to make it. It could have been hilarious for him to try, though. But of course, they had to do the chicken shit heel thing with him chickening out and talking about the wheels on the damn shopping cart and how, he doesn't want to get hurt. He don't want to get hurt doing this over nothing. And he's got the Royal Rumble to think about. And he's the Intercontinental Championship to think about. There's just so much going on. And he wants to make sure it's gonna go off without a hitch. He doesn't want to get hurt. So then Rick Boog shows up to show off his new haircut. That was the only reason he was here, to show off his new haircut. And now he looks more like a porn star than he did before. Nakamura was the babyface in the situation. Attacks Sami Zayn with a knee strike, drops him down. Then Rick Boogs picks him up in a gorilla press and throws him from the ring into the bullseye. And everybody celebrates that. Sami Zayn looking like a goddamn fool. So short hair Rick Boogs, I like it. I actually like the short hair more than I like the ponytail. I think the ponytail fit the gimmick of being a rocker. Maybe they're moving away from that. But if he's going to be playing like the guitar and shit, I like the ponytail. I like the wild 80s hair that he could have done with that. That could have been really fun. Instead of him looking like a jazzercise middle-aged woman, he could have, with a gigantic hairy chest and a mustache. But they kind of overproduced his hair though. It's very slick. It was very greasy. But they're showing off that Boogs is very strong, and that's what they want to put the emphasis on, his personality and his strength. But that was cool. So Aaliyah has a match tonight. It's against Natalya, and Aaliyah gave us the old, "It's always been my dream here tonight," and she doesn't want to embarrass herself, which is a callback to her earling on herself earlier. And she hasn't been back since that incident, right? She threw up on herself in the middle of a match and had not been seen since. So this is her first match since she threw up on herself. What was it, like almost 2 months ago? Tony Storm was in the company when she threw up on herself. So Natalya says, "Look, there's no shame in losing to me. I'm a 3-time Guinness World Record holder." And so Aaliyah was like, oh, the Guinness Book of World Records. I didn't know that still existed. And that's kind of the gimmick now, where instead of allowing Natalya to get the heat of having these records and everything, they're trying to undercut her heat by saying that it doesn't mean anything. So it becomes, oh, I didn't know those things still existed. It's like, come on. Can she cut her some goddamn slack? Look, I know I don't like Natalya either, but fuck's sake. If you're going to mention it, at least let her get it over. So they go through this whole thing where Natalya cuts this promo about how she set 3 world records, and now she's going to set a 4th, which is the fastest victory of any woman in history. And in doing so, she attacked Aaliyah before the match started to weaken her and to beat her up. And then the referee was going to say Aaliyah cannot continue. Aaliyah can't wrestle because she's obviously been savagely beaten by Natalya. And Aaliyah was like, no, I can do it. I swear I can fight. And the referee allows the competitor to change his mind, which is weird. Rings the bell. Natalya comes in for the kill. Aaliyah rolls Natalya up, gets an immediate 3 count, and now holds the world's record for the quickest victory with 3.1 seconds or something like that. Natalya is... If you thought Natalya was going to get pushed for having a Guinness World Record to her name and that them utilizing that in terms of her character, no. She just got absolutely shit upon because she lost to Aaliyah in 3.1 seconds. This was appalling. Look, I'm all for having as little Natalya as possible, but why not let her at least establish the gimmick first, and then we build up from there? Again, I had the idea where she would, carry around plaques or something like that, similar to Owen. They gave her the Guinness Book of World Records book, like the literal book. She's carrying the whole book, not the thing that just involves her, but the whole book. And it makes sense, at least, because she's in the book. But there's like a million other people in the book. So it's like, why not just get like some plaques or some certificates or something like that and have her assistant? Well, she said she has an assistant. Why not give her an assistant? That would have been nice too if she'd have been like, I'm above this. Aaliyah's not in my league. She's going to wrestle my assistant. And then the assistant is the one who loses the match in 3.1 seconds or whatever. But nope, they did it with Natalya. Like, Natalya's almost her whole career has been her being embarrassed in one way or another. There's no point in time when Natalya looked cool and everybody thought Natalya was cool. No, not ever. It's always been Natalya doing a fart gimmick. Natalya's doing some other weird thing. And now Natalya, who, has the Guinness Book of World Records, and now she's in the World Record book again for having the quickest loss. And it's like, at some point, you got to be looking like they're trying to get rid of you. Let them. How about that? So this, and here's the worst thing. Aaliyah, this win does nothing for Aaliyah because we didn't get to see anything. So, and then this was the only women's match on the show. There was no other women's match on the show. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying the only women's match on the show was 3.1 seconds. So that narrative is about to roll with it. There was no other women's match on the show. No, and if it wasn't for Charlotte and Lita, there was no other women featured on this show. There was just a sidebar of Naomi and Sonya Deville. But, hey, look, it is what it is, man. Aaliyah, we didn't get to see anything out of her because the match was 3.1 seconds. So it was what it was. If you didn't know who Aaliyah was before, you got to see a little bit of her being sort of scrappy and underdog-ish. But other than that, just bland, babyface, nothing. You didn't really get anything out of her or Natalya in this. So there was really no purpose in it. Michael Cole was in the ring with Lita. She introduced Lita. Lita is back for the first time in 20 years on SmackDown. Lita says that she was satisfied with her career until recently. Now she feels like she got one more run left. This whole opening part of this promo made it feel like this was the first ever women's Royal Rumble, where Lita was like, hey, we didn't have Royal Rumbles in my day. I'm like, you've been in like 4 of them already. Like, haven't you been in? Wasn't she in the first 3? She was, she was in like all the Royal Rumbles so far, and they're acting like this is the first time Lita's been in the Royal Rumble. It's like, no, she was in the first one. I'm sure she was in the second one too. Was she in the third one? I don't know. I don't know if she was in the Pandemic Rumble, but I know for certain she was in the first 2 at least. They're really kind of putting a lot of emphasis on the Women's Royal Rumble this year, which I actually like. I actually like that they're actually trying to make people care about that this time. So, Lita is out there saying she's got one more run left, and I was like, before I saw just the advertisement of Lita being on the show, and I was like, what would be great if Lita and Shotzi did a segment together. Because Shotzi is sort of the spiritual successor to Lita. That Daredevil style, that, jump and just, do it. Go out there and do it. And the sort of extreme thing that she was pushing when she was in her prime, Shotzi is that now. Like, it would be great for them to do a segment together, at least, to either help Shotzi become babyface again, or to make Shotzi even bigger heel. But just to get her out there, and this seemed perfectly written for Lita to come face to face with the new generation. Instead, they just put her in the ring with Charlotte, because Charlotte wasn't doing anything else. So Charlotte comes out there, and Charlotte does what Charlotte does. She mocked Lita, the Flashback Friday thing, and then said that she mocked Lita being extreme, and, how are you going to handle me being in the Royal Rumble as the champion and ending your dreams? And Lita said that Charlotte has a giant head, and that how can she walk around with this big head? And then the crowd starts chanting "giant head," which is stupid. Okay, it's silly. Charlotte's head is not that big. I guess they meant her ego. Okay, so the crowd chants about that. Charlotte brags about beating Trish Stratus already, and that now she broke Trish Stratus and put her back into retirement. She's going to do the same to Lita. Lita threatened to slap Charlotte. Charlotte flinched a little bit, and then she got hit with a twist of fate, which was done basically in slow motion, as she kicked Charlotte in the stomach. Charlotte just stayed bent over forever, and Lita did the twist of fate. And this was fine. This was fine. I didn't hate this, but literally anybody else could have done this except Charlotte. There's this idea that there isn't enough room to push anybody else. It's like Charlotte would not have been diminished in any way if she didn't get this segment. There would not have been anything taken away from Charlotte. It's not like she absolutely positively needed this to get over. At some point, we do have to consider that there are other women on the roster, right? We have to consider that at some point. We have to consider that other people need segments in order to get over so people can care about them. This was literally anybody else other than Charlotte could have really benefited from being in the ring with Lita. I just said Shotzi because she would have made the most sense. But WWE refuses to let anybody get over except Charlotte. Charlotte didn't need the heat. She also didn't need to get bumped by Lita. They didn't need to make contact. They could have talked about each other from a distance or whatever. Somebody needed to be in the ring with Lita to share that spotlight. It needed to be somebody new. And that's why I said Shotzi. There's another reason why I said Shotzi. Aaliyah would have been a nice little tribute too. But now we're in a position where Xia Li has not been seen since she came out to save Naomi. She has not been back since. Shotzi has been gone for almost a month. And this is on top of all of the injuries that they have going on, which I could have talked about this at the beginning. But SmackDown's roster is decimated with injuries. Well, I guess I can talk about it because I'm talking about Kofi next. So Kofi comes out there to announce that Xavier Woods is injured and won't be at the Royal Rumble. Sasha Banks is also injured and won't be at the Royal Rumble. Shinsuke Nakamura is also injured. That's why he hasn't been defending the Intercontinental Championship. He's been injured for 2 months. And then of course Tony Storm quit, and Drew McIntyre is injured. He probably won't be in the Rumble either. So now we're talking about 3 major players from SmackDown that they've been using at the beginning of the year is gone. And you can look at the roster now and add that with the cuts, and you can see that this roster is paper fucking thin. And that's why the shows are so bad now. You know, it's not, you don't have no stars. It's this overuse of certain people like Charlotte, not letting other people get over, not focusing on other people, not building any B stories in the women's division. You know, well, I guess there is a B story. No C stories in the women's division. It could at least be an A, B, and C story. They have enough talent for at least that. If you're going to have Charlotte and her thing as the A story, then you're going to have Naomi and Sonya as the B story, then it has to be somebody else doing something else at the bottom. That could have been the Lita thing with somebody else. But no, it just ends up being the Charlotte thing. And it's like, fuck, you know. And now we've got Kofi Kingston with no New Day. So what is he going to do? Well, do jobs to Madcap Moss. He lost to Madcap Moss after doing a really bad accent. It was a hideous and hilarious accent where he talked about entering the Royal Rumble. Of course, Corbin comes out there talking about being rich and bragging about injuring Drew McIntyre. They made a Poo Day joke. You know, what do you call it? Was awful. This dude is wearing suspenders and shorts. He looks ridiculous. He looks absolutely ridiculous. Kofi Kingston was giggling hysterically at the Poo Day joke and then got serious and said he's going to drop a deuce on Madcap Moss. But Kofi is not being booked as a former WWE champion. He's being booked like Tito Santana. And it's unfortunate because that's just how people are going to remember it. Like, you know, when it's all over, most people don't remember that Tito Santana was the Intercontinental Champion and that, you know, he was a damn good one at that, and that he used to be over and people used to love him because he did, as El Matador, he did so many fucking jobs that by the time, you know, he just kind of vanished. By 91, 92, they had beaten the tar out of him. You know, he didn't have any spark left. And Kofi, if it wasn't for his personality, he would be in the same situation. You know, like this guy was a fucking world champion. He should be able to beat Madcap Moss. Look, I know we're pushing Madcap Moss here. That's why he's wrestling and Corbin isn't. You know, because they're trying to see more of him and his physique and everything. Him and Rick Boogs are getting stealth pushes. You know, they're doing silly stuff in the background, but these guys are really being pushed because they're winning over established mid-card acts, and they're really making them look silly. Like they're, you know, Madcap. This is the second week in a row Madcap Moss has, you know, made an ass out of some of these guys, and he got a main event pay-per-view match. PLE match, premium live event match against Drew McIntyre. And so they're putting a lot of emphasis on him and Rick Boogs. So these guys are the guys that they're pegging for the future as far as guys that they're looking forward to pushing at some point. But they're trying to, you know, get them out there and get them established by having them rub elbows with other kind of mid-card acts. And that's fine. But Kofi didn't need to lose this match. You know, this guy's a former world champion. At least book him like it. For Christ's sake. Like, would Madcap Moss have lost anything if he lost this match? No. Because he's not going anywhere. Like, he's stuck to the hip with Corbin. So he's certainly not going anywhere. But this show was miserable. Sheamus. Oi! You know something missing? You know what's missing, Matt? My friend Rich Holland. He got a broken fist. It's all Ricochet's fault. I'm gonna give him the hiding of his life. Look at me little hat. Look at me little jacket. So Sheamus is upset, obviously, because Rich Holland's face is busted and he's not there. Not at his side like he should be. Blame Ricochet. This is the third match on the show, Ricochet versus Sheamus. Ricochet has a new theme because they change somebody's theme song every fucking week now. So there's no such thing as an iconic theme song. We're going to just change it. Look, I'm not saying that Ricochet's theme was great or that it was awesome or that it was even fitting. But they have changed it to sort of indicate that they're going in a new direction with him. I'm like, okay, maybe this means something. They're going to change his theme song and, you know, inject some new energy, maybe give him a new entrance or something like that, and we can have some fun with that. No, he just goes in there and loses to Sheamus. And I was like, what's the point? We're gonna put a new coat of paint on this car and then key the fucking car. Nothing. So what, man? This is the thing. Look, I love Sheamus. Sheamus didn't need to win this match. You know, I'm not saying that Ricochet should have won. What I'm saying is, why didn't Sheamus try to do what he said he was going to do? Like, Sheamus is a vicious heel. He should have gotten disqualified by, you know, trying to injure Ricochet, by, you know, trying to break his face. You know, that would have been great. It would have told a great story. It would have put off the finish to this match. And we actually could have built off of Ricochet having sort of a new outlook and a new fresh blood pumped into Ricochet. But no, he's just new music, same old Ricochet. He just goes out there and eats a broke kick. Yikes. Then the segment everybody came to see, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, their face-to-face segments on the show. They have been showing clips of the Shield throughout the night. And, you know, the Shield's breakup and their successes and yada, yada, yada. And that kind of led to this. So Seth offers the fist because, you know, Roman, they like to bump fists. Roman said that's beneath him now. And I like that. I love that right off the jump. We're setting the stage immediately with the that's beneath me. I'm not a member of the Shield anymore. You know, screw this. Seth reminds Roman that he's never beaten him in championship matches. Roman laughed at this guy and says that I'm the greatest of my generation. You know, you're talking about the past. I'm talking about being the greatest to do this right now. You know, you're not in my league. Seth Rollins says that he came out here to acknowledge all of Roman's success, but says that, you know, I am the source of all your successes, that you can't really do it alone. That, you know, I was at the top of this business while you were riding the pine in the CFL, which I thought was a great dig, by the way. That was a great dig. And it says that I held your hand throughout the entire time we were in the Shield. They actually showed them as the tag team champions earlier in the episode, which I completely forgot about. That's why you should use flashbacks and stuff like that, video packages, because it was 10 years ago. I don't remember that shit. It said that you need the bloodline now. He says, I created Roman Reigns and I can destroy him. I would have done, this promo would have been great if Seth Rollins wasn't doing all that goofy laughing that he's been doing. If he was dead serious when he said this stuff, it probably would have went over a little bit more seriously. At the same time, though, because Seth Rollins is doing all this goofy laughing and shit, it gave Roman the perfect opportunity to cut him down by saying that, you know, you look like a clown, you talk like a clown, you're wasting my time. You say, you're not even a star. You're not even a superstar. Like, I should be wrestling mega stars. You're not even the biggest star in your household. And he says, if I was going to choose an opponent, a mega star to get in the ring with, I would choose your wife. And of course, Seth was like, humbled by that. So Rollins kind of for the first time is not really laughing anymore. You know, he's taking this a little bit more seriously. And that was a great dig. Those were some good digs that they did on each other. So I thought Roman would come out of this thing being more of the baby face, but it seems that the crowd is more behind Seth in this situation. There was actually some chants for him, and he was dancing to the chants, which is, you know, his thing now, I guess. At some point, the Usos tried to attack Seth Rollins. He escaped. He as they tried to grab him, he kept slipping away, and he ended up getting up the ramp and he yelled some stuff at Roman, and we were like, okay, we're not quite off to the races here. We're doing a slow build. So okay, this segment was fine. I didn't have a problem with the segment. Other than we didn't really set the who's the heel, who's the babyface in this situation. We just kind of let the fans choose, and the fans have chosen Seth. Where they both were kind of denigrating each other. They both had some pretty good points here. Roman is beyond the Shield. He is, the biggest star of his generation right now. But it was because Seth Rollins was kind of his mentor before. And that's the reason he was put in the Shield. And, those two guys had more indie experience than he had. So that's why he was put in the Shield, But this was good. I think that they did a good job of saying this is not going to be about the past. At least Roman doesn't want it to be about the past. He wants to be about right now. While Seth Rollins is playing mind games and bringing up the past. So it's very interesting, but we needed more of this. We needed less of a lot of the other stuff that took place on this show. This show was not good. I did not like this show. I hated it, as a matter of fact. We just need more. There needs to be something more done. I know that there's injuries. I know that there's going to be more releases and there's all kind of stuff going on, but you need to fill these gaps. If you got, somebody going down, you probably don't need to have a fatal 4-way for the tag team championship thing. You probably could have had a tournament. That way each team could have had 2 matches with some stakes to them added to this thing instead of 1 match. You also needed to do something about the Viking Raiders losing to Madcap Moss and Corbin earlier. There's just a lot of stuff that they were making a mockery of, Sami Zayn's the number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship, yet he's still talking about Jackass and he's talking about the Royal Rumble, and just nothing felt cohesive on this show. It all just felt slapped together at the last minute, a pastiche of stupidity that they just brought together at one time. The End Zayn segment had some potential, but ultimately ended up just being Sami Zayn looks like a fool, which is usual. I don't know, man. I hated this show. The Charlotte and Lita stuff was cool, but I don't like that it was Charlotte because I'm tired of fucking Charlotte. It's like, for Christ's sake, let it be anybody else, But hopefully Lita will have a warm-up match. That would be nice. I like that WWE is bringing in the female legends now, sort of with Beth Phoenix and Lita kind of coming in and doing some stuff with the younger chicks. But Beth Phoenix is working with Maurice, and Lita is working with Charlotte. So it's not like they're going to NXT or anything like that. But I think Maurice and Beth Phoenix are around the same age, actually. But there's no doubt that I think Beth Phoenix is probably going to do something with some of the regular roster chicks at one point. Hopefully this isn't the last we see of Lita and she actually comes back. Hopefully we can get Lita to mentor somebody or something for a short time, or something interesting outside of this Charlotte shit. We need something. This show just lacked energy. It didn't feel big because there was no Brock and Roman wasn't until the end of the show, and then there was not a lot of Seth on the show either. So we definitely needed something, and this show was just lackluster. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.